Good morning, everybody. Now, usually I'll start the show off by saying, hi, welcome to Living with S. I'm your host, Sharon Mundia. But today, I'm saying, welcome to Living with S. I'm S. I'm the best.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have anything more?
The rule of the rest.
The rule of
The best.
the best. As you can tell, I'm with people who are very poetic, very funny, and you've got to be spontaneous.
Hey.
Spontaneous.
I know.
I
1 second of fame.
yeah. I've got.
S is spontaneous.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that was your best work, but
It's okay.
we're gonna just start off the
Okay,
show.
okay. Tell us, Said, that S is spontaneous.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah, you know,
Well.
it would be great if you had jazz in there. But listen, I haven't even introduced. Then it would have been like oh, he got all our names. I haven't even introduced to the people that I've got with me today. I've got 3 incredible creatives. They are spoken word artists. One of them is someone it's your second time here, isn't it, right? But the 2 ladies I've got with me, it's their first time, and I'm so excited to hear about your journey and your just understanding a little bit more about your poetry as well. They're also going to be performing. We're here at Park Inn by Radisson, and I've got Tella 254.
Yeah.
I've also got Spontaneous, the poet. And then I've got Jaziah, also known as Jazz. Jaziah, I'm going to start by asking, is that like the 3 dots here and like here, is it like an expression, a creative expression, or does it mean?
It's traditional with the community and culture that I come from.
Nice.
So it's like to remove evil eye, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 on your eyebrow, 3 on your chin, and 3 on the other, and 1 right underneath your left eye. Left
Yep.
eye. That's nice.
Wow.
That's nice. And what culture is it?
So my family is Muslim from South Asia, so like Kashmir, Pakistan and whatnot. So it's something that comes traditionally from the villages in South Asia. So Afghanistan, India and Pakistan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. All right. So
I think our culture in Kenya.
where are we going with this? Tell us
Well,
more.
we stay to natural. We go
Yeah.
all natural.
Yeah. Yeah, we all are
I know.
natural. Yeah. So, ladies, I'm curious to know a little bit about your spoken word journey and how you got started. Has poetry always been a love of yours and a form of expression? Maybe Jazz, you can start us.
Yeah. I started writing when I was 11. So it started off kind of as a joke because I was bored during an exam and I had some more time to spend during my English exam.
Wow.
So at the back of, because you have a composition, so at the back of the composition, I just like quickly wrote something out. And my English teacher, I've been blessed with amazing English teachers throughout high school and primary school. He encouraged it during a parent-teacher conversation with my mom. And he told my high school English teacher, like, oh, just like encourage her into it. So that's basically how I got into poetry. Yeah.
You must have been good at English too if you had extra time at the end and you're writing poetry.
My mom was that ambitious because I'm the firstborn. So she
Okay.
was like ambitious that my kid is going to read. By the time they get to a certain age, they'll be able. And she was right, to be fair.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Lovely. And what about you, Spontaneous?
First, I'd like to comment to that.
Yeah.
When I was 11, I was doodling.
Okay.
I've been doodling my whole life.
Doodling is good too. Have you seen all the doodle artists out there
know.
who are like have millions of followers making so much money? Doodling is a thing. If poetry at some point is like, I've mastered this, you should try the doodling.
Then okay.
Yeah.
So I have 2 professions
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So I started out as a singer. I was in class 2. By the time I knew I wanted to be the next Mariah Carey or so. I know. Vision. And then teachers are very interesting people. So my class teacher goes this one evening, she says I need to like recite this poem. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you see, poetry is only meant for guys who live in a fallacy world. Forgive me. That was then. And she insisted that I had to do it. So the first day, she asked if I had already crammed it. I said no. I was bitten. Seriously. The second day, I still went back to school and she was like, have you crammed it? I was like, no, I haven't. I was seriously bitten. I was bitten 3 times. Now I figured this is not a joke. If I keep on doing this, I'll be caned over and over and over again. So I went home, told my aunt I cannot take it. This caning is rather too much. So she was actually cooking some chapati and she was like, so do you have the script? I said, yes, I do. So this is what you do. So I mastered it. The next time I was asked by the teacher, that was the second day, of course, during the class. And I was like, yes, I have mastered it. And from then henceforth, she enrolled me into the drama festival competitions. And yeah, and then I got a chance to first go for the provincials. And then I was called in to go to Nakuru.
Wow.
And I was representing the whole school. I was like, this seems like something I should actually take on. So that was the first time I actually decided to take on poetry. Yes, but I wasn't writing. I am amazed you were writing by that time.
Yeah, so you were reciting.
I was reciting.
And Tella, remind me, were you writing immediately or were you reciting? And did a teacher, were teachers influential
For me,
in your journey?
my community has helped me
Yeah.
one way or another. Because I told you last time,
Yeah.
I come from a Christian background.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a pastor. So everything around me was just, I've never been stage shy. I've never had stage fright. And when I was in high school, there was this competition that we were doing, ilikuwa to a public governance, where you are supposed to write an article and then come and present in front of more than 1,000 people.
Wow.
And I was from all the way from Kakamega County, place in Matunda, manzi. And my dream was to come to Nairobi and do
conquer.
this. Yeah. And tell the president, back then it was Kibaki. So I tell the president what I feel we need in this governance. It was a speech that I wrote with the help of someone called Esther. Home manzi was a good friend of mine. And then I was encouraged by teachers. And my mom has been really helpful and supportive in my art. Since I was a kid, we were doing acting in churches and playing football, singing kwa choir, kanisa, ukiwa mtoto wa pastor, lazima you have to be engaged in these things. And shaping, basically, my writing comes from my background.
Okay.
And most of the attributes I have right now come from the community around me and the people who have influenced me.
Right. So speaking of people who influence, I think teachers are really fundamental,
Yeah,
and they can
it's important for
be-
it's important for teachers to know that they contribute.
So my question was to you guys, given how influential teachers are, do you feel that teachers in the system, the syllabus, tries to support the creative arts enough? Do you find, I mean, the support on your end came in an odd way that started with like being beaten, and I'm not,
You're basically forced
I
to
don't,
poetry.
I was
you're caned
been
into it,
forced
which I don't
and
agree
it's
with.
fine enough. I was
Yeah.
forced into poetry for reciting. I was
Right.
I was actually forced into poetry when writing.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the force, but do you feel like there could be more
Yeah.
that could be done, or do you feel like there's already a shift? What are your thoughts, Jazz? I'm seeing you already like
Nodding and shaking.
nodding, shaking, being like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I come from the British system,
Yeah.
so O levels, A levels, and then I went to Strathmore University. So all my life, I was very accustomed to the IG way of, life, and what
which,
I
for
found-
people who don't know, how would you describe it?
It's as privileged as you might think it is in comparison to 844, definitely. Because I feel like definitely within the system, now the governance system, there is that attempt to push art, but to push art so long as it's within this box that we give you. Whereas within the IG system, we're not pushing art, but you have the freedom of expression. So we have different debate competitions, different poetry competitions, and they're usually on a much grander scale than the national ones. So you don't have, because it's more international, there's no, this is the box that you have to fit in. It's just, you have this freedom to create, and that's what I was used to in regards to poetry. But I found that when I came to Strathmore and I was interacting with different people, actually when I met you guys at PAL and whatnot, it was two very different aspects of poetry.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We don't have the same kind.
Do you agree with that?
I do. I actually relate with what she said in the sense that when I left campus in Eldoret and I was coming to Nairobi to now get to understand the art scene, I kind of got a culture shock, sort of, because there was a lot of, it was very interesting. It was new, it was diverse. There was the Sheng pieces, and I was doing the kind of storytelling pieces, and I was thinking, am I in the right place? Do I have to change what I do? But the beauty is you finally meet people who are also doing poetry. I told Teller, for instance, I think he's the only Floyd I have met so far in the art scene.
Define Floyd.
Floyd in the sense that you're doing music and poetry at the same time, but you're doing storytelling within it.
Music.
And music and poetry within
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Interesting. So
And
describe.
it's amazing that in spoken word you don't have to have a specific way
Yes.
of doing things.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
the freedom to express your art and communicate in whatever way or whatever language you prefer.
I agree, and I think it's the same. Even I think it's the same with any art form. That there ought to
that
be freedom
Yeah.
to express yourself creatively as you wish. That you are just expressing what is deeply within, and I love that about art in general and poetry. So describe your poetry and how poetry. I don't know, spoken word. Earlier you did insinuate that it's very different.
It is.
How would you describe what's different? How describe maybe spontaneous? You could start.
Okay, I feel there's so many elements to different forms of performances. For instance, the poets who do humor, comical poetry, where it's all about humor. And then the guys who do storytelling. For instance, if you don't get me at the beginning, I have a feeling you won't get me at the end. And then the guys who are also really, really good with the punchlines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the upbeat punchlines and stuff. So I feel
So what's yours?
mine is poetry. I like to call it poetry. Okay. It's a combination of storytelling with music and poetry and spoken word in it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What's yours, Tella 254?
I just go with what comes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have different kinds of audiences. There's an audience that wants to have this kind of me, this side of me. The punchline side, there's an audience that just wants to listen to your story. They're patient with you. There's an audience that wants you to do comical poetry. So I'm versatile.
Yeah.
And I can fuse with music. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no big deal.
When you come on my Before Please Humble.
Sawa.
Like it's the conclusion of everything that's there.
Yeah. Just you humble yourselves, guys.
But-
Jazz, how would you describe yours?
Mine started off poetry, and then now it's a lot more slam.
Ooh.
Oh.
Interesting. All right. So I think we have a piece by Tella to usher us into our break. So I'm going to let you go for it.
Ati food for thought ya leo ndo itajaza sahani kesho, so if you want to continue eating, keep thinking. Mwenye nguvu mpishe, mwenye njaa mwache apike, mbwalilala usimwamshe, na hiyo ndoa uilinde bila kutia doa. Jufali wawili wakipigana si watoto machozi watatoa. Usiwe na mikono birika when you needed to help out. Juu kesho ni wewe, you will need someone to give you a hand in marriage. Heshima wa kitu cha muhimu ni ujue ni nini cha muhimu. Jisio kila kitu ina occupy space, ina mata kwa mind yako. You need to let some things go out of your way to make things you need go your way, and whenever you feel like you're giving giving up, keep going. Maybe your next step ndo nakulead kwa doorstep ya success. So keep going whenever you feel like you're taking your last breath. Keep breathing. Maybe your breath ndo na give life to the person your heart beats for. So keep breathing whenever you feel like you're hard enough. Keep listening. Maybe the wisdom unadai kwa hizi midomo unadhani ni foolish thoughts. Ni think you have the wisest thoughts now. That's food for thought ya leo. Ndo itajaza sani kesho. So if you want to continue eating, keep thinking. Whenever you feel like you're giving more than you're receiving, keep giving. There is satisfaction in giving the receiving, and it's only a matter of time before you receive 100-fold. Spenda nchi yako. Hata ukienda ugenini usiogope kutumia Mwakenya. Usiwe na maringo kwa naenda ya huruma zako. Na pia uwe mwangalifu. Sio kila anayekubusu ni rafiki. Hata busu kwa Yesu intention ilikuwa kumtuma back to the sender dada. Usijichukiwa kikuita mnene wa shwata Congo Forest inapendeza unitika man kaka. Usiogopa wakikushow uweze, keep pushing. It's only a matter of time. Na naamini kelele zao utazizima man, as long as uko high wewe utapata. Si Mose mmoja ametoka Madhare na squeezy bado unawarunda man. If we needed strong legs to stand up to our fears, most of us wouldn't be here. So take the first step. One way or another you will get there. Uliza tasakaja venye li get there. Li get kukana masonko na usisahau kusaka jaka unataka kuwa kasonko. The future you want haitaletwa na mababu wa kisiasa. We tangulia to make the future you want now. Kesho yako itakuwa better if you push yourself today more. Na usisahau ku teach your knees to touch the ground more if you want to keep in touch with the man in the sky more. Kesho yako itakuwa better if you push yourself today more. Na hiyo the food for thought leo. So if you want to continue eating, keep thinking.
Yeah. And with that, we're off to a break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Parkin by Radisson, and today's show is all about poetry. I also learned a new word, flowetry. Yeah. I've got Tella, Spontaneous, and Jaziah with me. All three are spoken word artists. Now, how important is like the flow and rhyming and getting things to sound? Is that a big part of your art? Or because I remember when we learned poetry in high school, it was just like rhyming, I don't know, couplets, and it was just so technical. I was like, oh, wow, this is intense. Do you take that into consideration?
Yeah,
Tella?
yeah. Rhyme, rhythm, they're all important, but the most important thing is the message that you're passing out there. Because you being a poet or an artist, you have influence over so many people, and so many people are listening to you. So even as you're writing, it can't just be rhymes and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's why I started with wewe ni role model kivipi ka kuna role una play ku model hii society.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
For me, it's funny. I don't consciously rhyme or flow.
Okay.
When I'm writing, I don't consciously do it. I realize after.
What?
Like, ooh. Yeah. I realize
This
after.
happens,
Like when I'm writing my piece, that's when I realize, oh, that's a rhyme. Oh, that's a flow. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So
do you think it's so ingrained in you now that you just sort of, even as you're writing, without you realizing, it's almost like
it just happens.
Probably, because I guess it's growth.
Yeah.
Because as you grow, but for the longest time, I don't realize. I realize once I start reading it.
Right.
And sometimes you don't even know the story you're telling. When you're starting, you just start writing stuff.
Do you feel like is that the same for you?
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes you just
The inspiration, because maybe you're inspired by various things within, either around you or what someone is going through, or for me mostly it's at the matatu.
What? Explain that.
I personally don't know. I bought a matatu, and if I'm going to a 3-hour journey, I will write.
Wow. Is it because you're influenced by the people around you, or is it like quiet?
Sometimes I'm influenced by the people around me. Sometimes it's just a thought that clicks. Sometimes I'm probably reading something and I feel like I need to address this. And weirdly enough, is once I'm done with a journey, I actually have a piece out there.
Wow.
Yeah, so for me, it's
sorry.
usually the message.
Yeah.
It's like what he said. At the end of the day, why educate, entertain, and motivate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. What about you, Jazz? What's your...
This was so deep. That's why I said I started storytelling and then I moved to slam. Because initially my pieces were a means of therapy. So I used to talk a lot about my journey with my mental illnesses, just a lot of experience-based pieces. And if you used to watch me back in the day, like when I just started, you would see that. And now it's just anything goes. I feel like at the end of it, if you've performed, that's what matters. And people who are there, unless it's a competition, people who are there to see you perform. You could be talking about paint, but you make it sound so wonderful that it doesn't even seem like it's paint that you're talking about. So I think it just depends on artists, from artist to artist and audience to audience.
Yeah. Do you believe that all pieces ought to be performed, or some of your pieces just sitting in a book and that's where they live?
Yeah, for me that's
For
the
you?
case, yeah.
That they in a book or to be performed?
I have pieces that I do perform,
Yeah.
and I have pieces that I don't let people see. So if I usually tell people, because it's a running joke is that people call me a feminist. So men who are usually scared to talk to me always talk about how they might end up as one of my pieces. So like, even if it is, you don't know, you never know.
Right.
That's the thing.
Oh, because not everything gets to see
Gets-
the light
yeah.
of day.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I would say for me it was a struggle. Most of the pieces that would not be performed were most likely my personal struggles. But with time I learned that the only universal language you truly have is being true to yourself and sharing yourself with the world. So that's how whichever piece I have, I put it out there. First, of course, Facebook, and then I perform it. Because I know at the end of the day, these words are not mine alone. Sometimes the pieces speak for me, but sometimes the piece is meant for someone else. So I just release it.
Oh wow, that it's meant for someone else. Yeah. What about you, Tella? Are all your pieces out in the world?
Not all of them.
Okay.
I'm selfish.
So which ones do you keep to yourself? How do you decide which one to
No,
keep to yourself? Yeah.
The ones I've not performed
Yeah.
is because probably because I have so many pieces. But I believe that all pieces are supposed to be performed.
Okay.
Even if they're personal, I feel like with that experience that you're going through as
Yeah.
a person, a million other people are going through the same thing.
Right.
Maybe that piece was yours for your healing. Imagine what it can do for other people.
Right.
If it spoke to you, if it touched you, inspired you, or
Yeah.
whatever. Because when you wrote it, you're going through something, or you wanted to
Yeah.
say something.
And there's other people who've experienced that too.
I feel like they need to be heard.
Yeah. So how take me through your writing process. Where does it start? Is it do you hear a beat, a flow? Is it a word? Is it a thought? Is it an experience? Is it a boy who thinks you're a feminist and you're like, yeah, I am? And don't you? Yeah. Where does it start? Spontaneous, maybe you could go first.
Wow. Mine comes from so many things. It could be something I have read and that has really got to me. It could be an experience. For instance, loss. Like when I lost my mom in 2016, I wrote a lot. Thank you. I wrote a lot about loss. When it's about the government and the things that are happening, and I'm like, God, I need to talk about this.
Yeah.
You
And
talk
so
about it.
do you need to be in a certain state of mind? Is it a certain time of day? Like what does it look like, the ideal writing environment?
It comes anytime. I remember there was this one time I was working at Uchumi and I was actually the one packing for guys. Those were interesting days. And then you'd watch the telly while you're packing for someone says something and you're like, I need to write that down. Or maybe you're actually packing for someone and he's mean or he's really good or she's really, Yeah, so mine comes mostly anytime. It's not
Okay.
very clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tella?
I think like any other artist, we have different experiences at different times.
Yeah.
You have different times to write.
Yeah.
You don't have a specific time.
So it's not like, you know how some authors say, in order for me to write,
I
I
have
have to go away
complete
for like
silence.
2 weeks in a like far away little cabin house. There's no light, there's nothing, and like they're so specific. Like I need to have a cup of green tea infused with jasmine. You know how, do you have those moments where you're like, this is what's going to help it flow out of me?
I think for me, that only happens when I have a writer's block.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, this is the time you're going to look for inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those
you have
are
to
the
go
times I actually take
yeah.
the journeys.
Okay. Oh, the matatu ride.
The matatu
That's where
ride.
it comes from. Jazz, what
Yeah.
about you?
So I'm actually a published author as well. I find that when I'm writing prose, because when I was writing my book, I was going through a lot, and I wasn't in Kenya. I was on holiday in the UK, and the good thing was that your Safaricom line doesn't work there, so nobody's calling you or texting you or anything. So it really helped when I was finishing my book. With poetry, like Rachel said, it can be anywhere. For me, it's like more based on feelings. So if I'm feeling something, that's when I can write poetry best. But I've been training myself as of last year to write on a whim. So what I like to do is when I'm performing, I like to ask the audience to give me 5 words, and then I freestyle.
What?
She is really good.
She's dope.
Oh yeah, you've seen
She
it.
is really good. I saw
Can
her
I-
the first time, I was like,
If I gave
Challenge.
if I gave you 5 words
Yeah.
now, and I know Spontaneous is about to do something for us, but if I gave you 5 words now, would you be able to? Okay. The 5 words are living, black, patience, mastery. Oh my gosh, even I'm panicking.
Wait,
Are you really
wait,
gonna do
wait.
it? Are you-
Yeah.
Okay,
Really
living, black, patience, mastery, and Nairobi.
living black patience.
Mastery and Nairobi. Interesting, all the phones have come out. They were just,
like-
yeah, it's
They're like,
so
we want to try out.
Yeah,
We
I'm
want
gonna
to try this out.
All right, so do you need time or how does it work?
No, I usually just take 10, because the more I think, then I overthink it. So
Okay.
I usually, like now?
Okay, so you're ready to go? Okay, go.
Yeah. And then I freeze. That would be the funniest thing. Okay. They say that I'm not allowed to exist in Nairobi because my skin is not black. As if centuries and centuries and eons ago, every single person on this planet did not come from one black woman's body. It's patience that we have to learn living inside this white man's patriarchal society where I, as a woman of color, cannot exist comfortably, mastery of some grander scheme of things, and it is not fair, and I shall not allow my voice to be silenced no longer. I am here, woman of color, coming and representing every single soul in existence and those of my ancestors' voices through my own.
Okay. I shall not try.
Bless you.
Wow, 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 wow.
I
Wow,
know,
wow.
like Igwe.
I mean, even as I was
Wow.
coming with the words, I was like, geez, I've really just made this hard. Patience, black, mastery.
Mastery.
What am I doing? You just killed it,
Wow.
Jazz. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. So
No, I didn't even think I would be able
wow,
to do it.
you know,
so-
no,
Wow.
that is
That is
incredible.
amazing. How do you do that?
Yeah, I know.
That's a good question.
How
Yeah.
do you do that?
I've been told that when I talk, it's very flowy. So I guess I think it's something that you just train yourself to do.
So you, like at age 11 when you were writing, did you sort of
Yeah.
have that gift to put words together really quickly and
No, I was terrible at it. I was terrible at it. But then when I started performing more professionally, I hated memorizing my pieces. So I just trained myself to be able to freestyle. So that's what I do. Like now how you write in the matatu, I would just probably give myself a topic like paint and just like, oh, what can I do with this?
Wow.
And that's just, yeah.
Beautiful. All right.
I'm a different kind of writer.
Okay.
I can't freestyle.
Okay.
I cannot freestyle.
Yeah.
But I can write dope pieces.
Oh, that's for sure. We just heard one.
I cannot freestyle,
Yeah.
but I take my time to write
You've
whatever.
got really punchy lines
Yes,
as
yeah,
well.
and sometimes there are other pieces that can even take more than 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
To get it out of you and to
To
where
get
you
out-
want it
yeah,
to be.
to now get to a point where I can say now this is it.
Wow.
Now I feel like it's complete. Now when you come on
Alright.
stage, I think you should come and see something I've done. It's called Stories of Yobra.
Yobra.
Yeah, it's a 15-minute piece.
What?
Story, 15 minutes.
To keep that in you, 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I'll be on stage for 2 hours for your show. So,
good.
yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Spontaneous,
Well.
I'm keen to hear your flowetry. So I know you've got your guitar. I think, are you going to help her, Tella?
Yeah,
Or you're going to help
sure.
with the...
I'm a player.
We're gonna free flow.
He's a player.
A guitar player, a word player.
Finally.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good one.
And feel free to join me if you want to.
All right.
Bell time. Wow. Freedom. 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 I used to wear my hair long before I became, long before the pollen grains met the ovaries and I became. When God said the 4 letter words, let there be you. So when I first met Air, they shaved my hair, said, gone are your womb days, welcome to your wall page, and I screamed. Free, 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 freedom. Freedom. Free, 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 freedom. Freedom. So wait, I grew older and I wore again my hair longer. It was art, it was womanly. In my ambition stage with the carbohydrates and proteins on stage, I swear I was beautiful, and beauty, of course, wanted to meet its male version, handsome. So you could say that this is when my roots went down as my shoot went up and we were ready for our own plans. But this is a different kind of freedom. You see, financially we were okay. No, financially he was okay. I was blind, I was in love and naive, I was blind, he was deaf with the mind, I was safe. I say I was in love and naive, I was blind, he was deaf with the mind, I was safe. Safe enough to travel into foreign countries without our parents' knowledge, safe enough to not to let the Minister of Migration know of our location, safe enough to not to let the embassy know where we resided, selfless enough to let my husband take over the traveling documentations. But this is a different kind of freedom. This is why I meant free do. Free, 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 free do. Free do. Free do. Free do. Free do. Free do. So this is the first time I met my real husband. and I met the real me, a slave. You see, for $90 a day, my home became a pornographic casting location with I on the lead role for $90 a day. I got scared of how my children will be slain for $90 a day. I swear I called on death, but he said, you wear your hair ragged. You do not belong here. I swear this hit me so hard with my clouded face. I met there and I wore my hair longer. Long enough to pull me out of this tunnel. Long enough to save both me and my child. Because if I didn't leave, I would die. And my child would die too. So I wore my hair longer. I'm not sure what exactly I mumbled to God out there. But it was something like, if death cannot accept me, then please God let life do. Pose. And that's why I wear my hair short. Embracing that which I have become. Talking about my debts that you may live. Living a redefined purpose. Let there be you. And so if you're out there and you feel like this is freedom, just sing along with me. Freedom, a freedom, a freedom, Jaziah, freedom, a freedom, a freedom, free, 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 freedom, freedom, spontaneous.
All right, thank you, Spontaneous. We've got to take a break. We'll be right back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Today's show is all about poetry and flowetry, and I wish I had a really good rhyme to come back with, but I don't. So we're just going to go straight into conversation. I've got Tella, Spontaneous, and Jazz, or Jaziah. But you can call her Jazz too. And I want us to talk about like the business of spoken word. Do you think that gigs and being able to have performances is an important part of your art, or how does it work for you? How do you feel that you're able to make it a sustainable business for you?
There are so many ways you can make money from poetry, from spoken words, apart from just performance. Mm-hmm. You can teach schools poetry. You can mentor people. You can have, apart from just cold gigs, you can have your own events. You can put your poetry in books and just sell an anthology. There are so many ways you can make money from poetry.
Yeah, but I ask this because I know in the music business, it's almost, that's the bigger thing that you sort of go for now, and a lot of people have complained, a lot of artists have been frustrated about that shift, that people aren't releasing albums, they'll release a hit song and perform it over and over and over again, because you're trying to make as much money, like to take as much money out before the new kid comes to the block. So that's what I'm trying to understand about the industry and performance. What is the main, have there been any shifts that you've witnessed in that regard when it comes to the business of spoken word? Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed, I don't know if you've noticed it, but 3 years ago, we realized some friends of mine, all women, poets as well, that it's very male dominated.
True.
So a lot of the people who are getting the paid gigs are the same men. And it's a very, very, very touchy conversation to have, because I know women who have been assaulted by these men in order to get gigs.
Wow.
So as a result of that, some women decided to get together and create a community for just female poets. And it's in different variations. It's what Spontaneous does. It's what I do with another American Kenyan poet named Mwende. It's called Paza Sauti, where we create spaces just for female poets. But the issue again with that is that male poets still want a taste of that. And then you find yourself again being pushed to the side. So even the little money you're making from that, it ends up not like going away, because again companies and industries and businesses just focus on these male poets. I find personally it's not the most income worthy industry to be in, because I'm studying law. So what I'm doing right now professionally is law, and I make more money from one research paper than I do from a performance. And it's a big problem that has to be tackled first as an individual, then as a company, and then as a community. But that will only happen when these men who are at the top open the gates for the rest of us.
Right.
Yeah.
But right now they act as gatekeepers. They say, actually this is, that's been your experience. Wow, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing.
To just top up on what she's saying, the past year, for the past 6 months, there was this, I'm grateful that I have shows I can actually perform at. First, I just want to say I'm really grateful that there are shows I can perform at and I can sort my bills. That's something to be grateful for. And I also want to acknowledge that yes, there are some men who actually assist, because I'm thinking it's because of a male person that I'm probably even seated here right now, you know. So I feel, of course, there's the support, but it's a bit limited. I do concur with what Jaziah is saying. There was this event I did over the year, and it had approximately over 10 artists, and there were just like 3 female artists. And that really touched me. I had been saying it for a while. It's been, there's come this point where I actually ask the organizers, can't you see any female artist? Like every time I look at a post, I feel like I've become super critical. I look at a post and I'm like, how come there's no woman? How come there's no, you know?
No, but
so,
I think.
Let me
wait. So wait. I said
you're killing me.
Wait.
Speaking.
I did say I appreciate there are some men who have actually supported us, and 100%, and I can't take that away. But I really do feel that it's super male dominated, and for me the focus was on the posters, and I just realized, God, you know, it got me to a point where now I started asking myself, so how can I be a solution other than always venting about it, you know? So that's how I ended up with, there's this project, it's almost similar to what you're doing, but I'm doing it with a lady from South Africa. She's called Nomonde Sky, and in partnership with Anika 254. That's an organization we run. And generally, we're just doing an event where it has female headliners, just to appreciate their sense of art. And not only to just talk about their stories and their own venting, but for men to also understand, when you even start talking about gender equality, where is it coming from? Because it starts when you're pretty young, men wanted to be a boy. Right. Do you know? So that's a conversation, and men don't know that. Like if they knew that, they'd probably understand why we talk of gender equality and gender disparity in the art scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Tella, what were your thoughts on that?
Now, I honestly feel like the opportunities, time and chance comes to us all. It's sad that there are organizers and promoters that will want to exploit the women before they perform or give them a stage or an interview. But I feel like the opportunity comes to us all. And most people in my circle, not just poets and most people in my circle are artists, both male and female. And for me, I have a show that is called Juja Festival. It's a big show. We have people there, over 1,000 people every edition that we get. But when we announce that we have an audition for artists to come, the artists who come to perform, when we say we have an audition, we'll have like 50 guys, 50 male, and we'll have 10 ladies. You get? You will not give all the 10 ladies just because they have come. You know, you will give the ones that you feel these are the best of these 10. You get? And out of these 50 men you have, you will not give 50 people. You will give the best of who are there at the auditions. You get? And it's not just Kwayo show. So many other shows. I feel like female poets are not as aggressive as male poets, because Miniki, when I see a poster somewhere, if I see an opportunity, I will go for it. It's not. I don't think it's a conversation about gender, because when you go, there's a show that happens at Pearl every Thursday. It's a poetry show. It happens every Thursday, and it's free to perform. It's free to sign up, and the only way you get to be known as a performer is by performing or getting your stuff out there. So ukiuliza mtu kama the content I have out there is more than some other ladies out there. You get? So mimi kama mini promoter, I'm an event organizer. If I call you to a gig, I have to know what you are coming to do. And if I've never seen you perform, or I've never seen any of your work out there, how will I call you? How will I trust you with my 1,000 people audience?
Right.
You get?
Yeah, and do you want to say something about that, Jazz? Or I think all three of us want to.
Yeah,
No. Let me ask you. How many female poets do you know?
Okay.
And how many male poets?
Before you
do
ask,
let me just mention something.
Yeah.
I respect you as an event organizer. I too am an event organizer. I feel sometimes also it's good to be deliberate as an event organizer about the gender representation, the balance. Because honestly, I was shocked when I thought, because there's the assumption that there are no female artists, like there are very few.
Or even that
But
question that you asked, how many do you know?
I know. But there was a time when I really needed female artists, and I sought out and I realized, oh my God, we are over 100. You know? So the assumption that they're not there, if you're really sick, because I'm in a group that has over 150, and I was asking myself, wow, so they're here. You know,
They are there.
So if you
the artists are there.
But
So
can
the
I
point
also
is,
say the system does
Can I-
not
can I-
allow for
can-
women
can I-
to flourish. It's as simple as that. And people like you who are in positions of power, who are holding events, should be cognizant of that.
Can
that's
I make
my
one-
stand. But I
one
think
more?
we're out
Just
of
one
time.
more.
I'm so
Just one-
sorry.
1 minute.
I am
Just
so,
1 minute.
We literally are
I
at
think
zero.
I
So
still-
we're
I
going
still-
to say
I still stand
goodbye.
with my- I
I'm
still
going to say
stand
thank
with-
you
I
so
still
much,
have my
the
stand.
three of you, for coming and performing. We got a little piece of Jazz's performance, the impromptu, spontaneous, gave us her flowetry, and we started off with Tella. Thank you guys so much. I really do think this is a conversation that we
we
should
need
have.
to
we should
have,
have
I think we
started
should
to
have a
have
part
conversation.
two.
But we do, and
need to
I
have
know
this
who to
We'll
call,
have a
the
part
three
two.
of you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys for watching, and thank you to Parkin by Radisson. Have a great rest of the day, and see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.